All right, y'all. You know how Steppin with Marcus J is live. We in color. We ready to get this show on the road. Tonight's ladies' night. We got a room full of them. We got the Dating Pool Diva and the Diva Diaries. Going to do that tonight. We got some special Black History stuff that we're going to do tonight, focusing on the ladies. And, of course, we got some What the Hell that's going to make you shake your head. We also debuting brand new tonight. We got a webcam in here, so we're going to be uploading some of the stuff tonight to YouTube. So we're looking forward to that. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J is right now.
It's about that time. It's about that time to get.
Button your lip, open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
If they lying,
You must be half stepping.
ain't no half stepping with Marcus J is back once again for a live show. Be down with us tonight. Call us at 804-402-2893 to be down with the flagship show. Heard live from the den right here, Legacy Internet Radio, every single Monday night from 7 to 9:30 p.m. Call us up, 804-402-2893. Check us out on legacyinternetradio.com, XLR. Tune in. We appreciate everybody checking in with us. We already see the board lighting up, and y'all right there with us. We appreciate it. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Ready to go around the crew. We don't even need to set it up. I already set it up. I'm ready to get to the show. As we do every single week, I always start off by introducing the crew, everybody that I have with us, and joining us tonight, as she does once a month. We got my sister Tony in the room. What's up, girl?
How y'all doing?
We doing fabulously. Well, I'm doing fabulous. I can't speak for these crazy people, but I'm doing fabulously. How you doing?
I am much better. I think I was sick last time.
Yeah, we usually have you on the second Monday, and you were a little bit underneath the weather.
Yeah.
You on top of the weather now?
I am way on top with like twinkly shoes on.
She's on top of the weather, y'all.
Yes.
Definitely glad to have you here. And, of course, sitting next to you on your right, my left, is the sister that's going to lead us in the second hour tonight, as she does every single fourth Monday. We got the Dating Pool Diva in the building. What's up, girl?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing
How's
fabulously.
everybody else? Everybody's in there? We in there? You're good? You good?
Everybody's.
I'm ready.
You
got
ready?
a lot going on tonight.
Yeah, I see she got the book out, y'all. She can't wait for her segment to get started. So
Yep.
we ready for that, too. Of course, joining me as he does from time to time, a founding member of Ain't No Half Stepping with Marcus J. My brother Carlton Banks is here. What's up, man?
Hey, how's everybody doing out here tonight? We're doing great. We're doing good.
We doing all right, Reverend.
Yeah, I got to bring some energy up in here.
Nervous.
We doing all right, Reverend.
You Reverend? Yeah. Well,
You sound like Reverend Ike over there. You doing all right, bro?
I'm doing good, man. I can't complain.
All right, good.
you know,
We're going to be losing you soon. Why don't you tell the listeners what's going on with you?
Man, I got to go and coach the kids again and have run fun, and hopefully I won't pull another muscle like I did last season. And for that one kid that got on my nerves last year,
You got him back?
I'm going to go to the coach and apologize.
Oh, my
Because
goodness.
I don't want him back. If I get him back, I'm quitting. I quit. I
You
really
can't
will.
quit, man.
I quit,
What kind
man.
of
Forget the
example is
kids.
that for the cheer-ons?
Forget the kids. I love the kids, but forget the kids.
Shit, Carlton Banks love the kids.
I love the kids. You're right, I do. But that's one kid.
That's what it is. All right.
He got to go.
You got to go. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Is happy, of course, to introduce my co-host, who's holding me down right here in the studio every single week live from the den of Legacy Internet Radio. I got my sister S. Y. But what's up, girl? How you doing, darling?
What's up, darling? How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing today?
You're doing wonderful, darling.
Ah.
You're just so sparkly with your glasses.
Oh my
today.
goodness. We gotta talk about the glasses every week.
Because they make you just grin
One
and
day
smile.
I'm gonna shock the world and I'm gonna roll up in here and I'm gonna have like clear horn rim glasses. That's what I'm gonna do. Just because I know that
See, you just took it all away with that right there.
I need you to come up in here like James Worthy one time.
You just took it away.
Oh, with the goggles?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the game face on?
Yeah.
But how about I come in like Rip Hamilton with like the whole mask? How about that?
That's even better.
But instead of the eyes cut out, I would make sure the eyes stay in,
Right.
and I would have like the glass around my head, and then just like have the eye part tinted.
There you go.
There it is.
Yeah, you'll have a piece of glass in your head coming here looking like that.
Looking crazy as hell. You know, hashtag Marcus J. Once again, I want to thank everybody that's listening to us live on LegacyInternetRadio.com. We got some folks listening to us on TuneIn, MixLR. Appreciate the love that we're getting. We're going to get right to it, y'all. We got a What the Hell segment that we're going to get to as we do every single week. We do some What the Hell that really does make you say what the hell. And a couple of these socially conscious stuff we're going to get to. We got a healthy segment with your girl, that's why later on. We're doing some Black history. We're focusing on the sisters this week, and then we're going to close the show with the Dating Pool Diva. So we got the whole final hour of the show is going to be the Diva Diaries tonight. So definitely looking forward to that. But let's get right to it. What the hell? This week, I don't know. I want to focus the first two stories, Carlton Banks, on the police, the police, the popos. You know, we talk about how they display some characteristics of impropriety from time to time.
Right.
And we also like to highlight when they do some good stuff. Like there was a cop here in Richmond, Virginia, a couple of weeks ago. It was all over the papers, and we mentioned it briefly, where he saw a guy in a wheelchair and he wheeled him all the way home and then followed the bus and picked him up at his house. Picked him up from the bus stop and then drove him to his house. You know, real nice, cool stuff. You got those kinds of police. But then you get the NYPD, two Brooklyn cops, who sideswipe an SUV, a parked one.
Right.
Then they arrest the man sitting in the passenger seat of the vehicle, accusing him of damaging their car.
Say what? Hold on.
I didn't stutter. I'm getting this from the New York Post. Robert Jackson, 31 years old. He told the Post that
cousin Robert.
your cousin Robert, Robert Jackson.
too.
Robert, I think every black person and every white person and every person knows a Robert Jackson. But he told the New York Post that his nightmare began when a police car heading the wrong way down a one-way on Watkins Street in Brownsville, that's Brooklyn for those folks who don't know, scraped against a parked car, which was a Ford Explorer. It belonged to his girlfriend. He was sitting in a legally parked car outside the apartment when it happened. He got out the vehicle, walked up to the officers. Quote, "I was smiling like, how'd y'all run into me?" Then the cop said, "Dude, you ran into me." And he just wanted them to fix the car. It's just another quote. I'm going to paraphrase. He just wanted them to fix the car, and they wanted to cover it up. The cops checked the block for surveillance cameras before they arrested him for destruction of city property. When they thought no cameras were on, I saw the gloves go on, and that's when I was arrested. That's what Jackson says. But fortunately, the officers, Christopher Oliver and Shazai Shagri, missed one camera on the home of one of the neighbors. The video corroborates Jackson's story. It shows the police car going the wrong way down the street, scraping the parked SUV as the officers tried to make room for a truck to pass. The officer who arrested me said if I took care of the expense on my vehicle, they would take care of their vehicle and I wouldn't have gotten arrested. He knew he was wrong. I'm not going to read any more of this, Carlton. I want you on this one first. I'm certainly not going to condemn every single officer for the actions of these two jackasses, but I think it's pretty kind of out of control to hit a parked car and basically I mean that's cold-blooded, man.
Hey man, they ain't do nothing wrong, man. That man reached out and moved his car in front of their car and hit those guys. That's what happened, man. I saw the tape. The tape is altered and against the police. More power to the police. Power to the police.
Nah. I think it was more like.
Okay, I tried to give him.
You don't lost your damn mind.
I mean, you know, I did think I saw that article. I meant to read it because it looked kind of interesting. That here I am parked and y'all gonna get me a ticket.
They gave him a ticket.
I mean,
Not they didn't give him a ticket. They arrested him.
arrested him on what charge? Destruction of
Well,
property?
destruction of property. But here's the scary thing. The scary thing is, they looked for cameras. They looked for cameras. That's why. And when they thought that there were no cameras, they went and did what they did here. That's why I want you to jump in here. But for that one camera, this dude would have went to jail. He would have got arrested. Well, he did get arrested. But who knows what would have happened, because we know how the courts are. And I was debating one of my brothers in Jersey City today, and happens to be a white brother who, our perspectives are just different. And one thing that I think that he was missing in the discussion, I hope he's listening, because I welcome him to call us at 804-402-2893 or hit me online. But one thing that I think that he was missing in our discussion is that the perception of black folk based on how we're perceived in the media can shed a negative light upon us. And then when you see situations like this, if there had not been a camera there, had he gone to court, it probably wouldn't have worked out in his favor, because it would have been two officers' word against his.
And thank God for that camera. Now, the person just came and showed the camera. They just came forward.
Well, the article doesn't allude to how they acquired it,
well,
but what my
good.
guess is that there was some sort of investigative reports going on. It may have been his
And
attorney
forward,
that got
found it.
something
That's
along
good,
those
because
lines.
you're right. It wouldn't have turned out that way.
No.
It wouldn't have turned out that way at all.
David, what you think about this?
Well, that's a what the hell story. I mean, it's crazy. I don't understand how you can arrest somebody and they were, not guilty of anything but having a parked car.
Tony, what you think?
I don't know.
Ridiculous. But, thankfully there was the one video camera. This reminds me of another story I just saw yesterday. I want to say it was in North Carolina, but I could be wrong, where this undercover cop planted some crack in this guy's store.
Yep, I saw that.
Yeah, and thankfully the guy had surveillance cameras set up in his store and caught the cop on video planting the crack.
You can see
there.
the officer
Yes.
slip the crack
On the
the counter, and then he then begins to question the guy in the store, which is crazy. Now that's two stories. My third one here is a dash cam video in New Jersey that shows that the police were acting out of turn. It's a dash cam video. The first cop car didn't have working dash cam, but there was a second car that the investigative reporter obtained a video of that showed that the police were out of turn. Now, this is a guy's 30-year-old fellow, and I'll get to his name in just a moment. Actually, Marcus Jeter, that's his name here. And the charges against him were dismissed. His two Bloomfield police officers have been indicted for falsifying reports, and one of them for assault. Now, Bloomfield, for those folks who may not be aware, if you know where Newark, New Jersey, Irvington, East Orange, Bloomfield is kind of right in the middle of all of that. But basically, what happens in this video, the incident begins when the cops, they were called to the Bloomfield home where Jeter shares with his girlfriend. No charges were filed. He says he left briefly after talking to the police. And the police, they tracked him down and they pull him out of the car and they began assaulting him. And he's basically seen in the video with his hands up like, what y'all doing? I mean, it's, why y'all beating me up like this? And they were getting him for eluding, which is untrue because he pulled over. And then they were trying to get him on for assault. But his hands were up. You can see clearly in the video. So we don't need to speak too specifically on that. I think we've kind of set it up enough. Dave, I want you on this one first. We got 3 cases here where police officers are specifically looking to set up, and we're not making this up because there are cases that are, they've been documented and the police officers involved have been punished, have been reprimanded, and in some cases charged with crimes. But what my fear is, and I guess what I was alluding to when I was speaking with my brother earlier today, is that we're not making this stuff up. Like, this stuff happens. And if we've got 3 cases of police officers getting caught. You know, how many cases are out there where they did not get
Thousands,
caught?
probably.
You know what I mean? How many brothers and sisters and our Latino brothers and sisters and other people of I don't like the word minority, lesser dominant as far as numbers groups. That's too wordy, but I don't like minority. But, you know, seriously, like how many cases are out there?
It's probably hundreds or thousands of them that have not been reported, and I think it's really unfortunate. The only thing I can think of is it's a power move. It's like they feel more powerful pushing people around and setting them up, but you know, most of the time it ends up coming out. And, you know, I think that the police departments, all of them need to be audited, or, you know, something needs to be done about all these different cases going on, you know. They need to be held accountable.
We see it all the times in the movies, you know, the good cop and the bad cop, and how the bad cop always does something and he gets away with it. And true life story, it's hurting the system. How do you trust a police officer, or tell your kids to trust a police officer in a situation where you got proof that they do dirt? You know, how am I going to get what is my due process in the event that I run up on that dirty cop? You know, I'm gonna go ahead and ask for blood screening, because y'all ain't gonna find any drugs in me. You might find them on me, but you ain't gonna find them in me, which would allude to my innocence. So,
you know, the thing, that's why that sometimes you know, that I find a lot of confusion with is when we know there are a lot of, you know, communities other than even some folks in our own black community that are fearful of our own people based upon how we're portrayed on television and movies and music and media and things of that sort, you know. But if you're a part of our community, you have very similar fears for the police officers. I don't know too many brothers, you know, black people in our general age group and younger, and obviously probably older too, that when they see them blue lights behind them, depending on where you are, they might be red and white, but when you see them lights, you know, if you know you riding clean, you still nervous.
You get heart palpitations.
You still nervous, and you know, you get, you know, a lot of us, you know, we got the talk. You know, I'll be 40 years old in a couple of months, and my pop still gives me the talk. You know, when I'm around him. And so, you know, for those folks who have the benefit of not having to give their children the talk, then hey, more power to you. You know, but don't tell me that I'm wrong, or don't tell me that I'm being sensitive, or don't call me a race baiter when I bring these things up, because I think they warrant discussion, particularly discussion when you start mixing races. I think white folk need to be involved in this conversation. Y'all need to know what's going on, and so do our Latino brothers and sisters, and so do, you know, our Islamic. And I know I went from, you know, race to religion, but they catch it too.
But still, in every aspect, we get it in some sort of way, and they're not really gonna know until they feel it like we feel it, you know. So what is there that would make them feel it like we feel it? They need to get involved. They need to see it's happening. There's too much evidence out there that, you know, we do worry. We are concerned, and we should be fearful for our kids who, you know, back, like, you know, we said earlier, you know, you teach your children if you need help. Like when I moved to Jersey, I told my daughter, you know, when you get confused or whatever, if you're walking from the school, you know, you see a police officer, you stop and you ask a police officer or whatever. But, you know, at this point, I may not want you to talk to the police officer, you know?
How safe is that?
It's not really safe at all. Like, not that I feel.
David, what you think?
I was just going to add on to what you said about the talk. I mean, you know, usually it's the young black male that gets the talk, but nowadays it's like, you know, the girls are getting it too, and the women are getting the brunt of the police system or whatever. You know, it can happen to one of us as well.
Tony, what you think?
Absolutely agree. You know, like Miss Lady said, when you see them lights, boy, like you get the butterflies and start sweating, and, you know, knowing that you haven't done anything wrong. You know, but it's like they're there to protect and serve. But
serve
they're still people, but they're still people. You know what I'm saying? Just like, to me, it's just like, with ministers,
right.
They're held in this high regard. They're supposed to do a certain thing, but they're still people. And I think a lot of times we kind of forget about that. And yeah, they're supposed to do the right thing because they're officers of the law, but that's not always the case.
I tell you, I struggle with that. I struggle with it because, I get offended when people of other cultures look at me as a black man and assume that I'm going to be a negative person, and I'm going to be dirty, that I'm going to be, doing crimes and all of that kind of stuff. I get offended by that. But then, me personally, I have to rationalize that my initial feeling when I see a police officer is I don't trust him. You know what I mean? And so I don't trust him. So when I struggle with them thinking negatively, I say them, I mean anybody of a different culture that may, or even our own culture, that may think negatively of me just on sight, just because of my demographic. But then I feel the same way about the boys in blue. And so I struggle, Colin, I struggle with that. I mean, as the other black man in the room, do you find there to be any kind of validity with where I'm going? Do you feel that as well? I mean, we know that, Lil Banks is far too young to be out and about on his own at this time, but it's only a matter of time. He's going to grow up.
Yeah, and that's the biggest fear I have. Considering the area that I live in and things of that nature, I take all that into consideration. And I told him, anytime somebody does something to him, you need go ahead and let me know, because Daddy gonna handle it in a whole different manner than what I need him to handle it as. There are a lot of obstacles as a parent that you want your child to avoid, and unfortunately, you're not there 24/7. So it's going to happen. Something's going to happen. You don't want it to happen. I live in a section of Virginia where we are in a community where we have a Pebble Creek page, and we had a little outburst on our page the other day because there have been situations where descriptions have been given. Not one time has color been mentioned, but as soon as somebody black did something, they labeled the black.
Right.
And, that caused a point of contention with people and whatnot. And it was just kind of interesting. I mean, the dynamic of it was. And they're like, well, you're supposed to give every bit of okay, well, when are you going to start saying it was this group, it was that group? You never given out any type of physical color. No. You never given any skin tone prior to now.
Right.
So what was the assumption prior to that?
Right. Right. Just to kind of piggyback on that, Tony, whenever we watch the news and we hear stories, and, all of us, we're all from essentially different areas. I was born and raised in New Jersey, and that's why in Pennsylvania, and the three of you guys here in Virginia, which is kind of different areas, different demographics. But I think we all can relate to when you hear the news story, like, Lord, I hope it's not a black person this time. It's like we all do that, like the DC snipers. I think we were all shocked when we found out that Dave was black, because black folk don't do that kind of stuff until now. What you think?
It's funny that you use that example, because my mind immediately went there, because when they did find them, my grandmother, who was born in like 1915. She hadn't actually seen him, but she heard the name. Right. So, we were talking about it. She was like, well, he wasn't one of us. I was like, Grandma, like, he's a brown dude. Yeah. She's like, but his name, because whatever his
John
name,
Muhammad.
Yeah. I was like, no. She saw the picture of him and just was like, oh my gosh, like, we don't do stuff like that. I mean, we might rob somebody, but what they were doing was not typical of brown folks' behavior.
It's just crazy, because when the Naval Yard dude came out and we saw that was a brother too, I was like, damn.
Yeah.
That one did take a brother by surprise.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the stuff, white folk, that y'all need to hear us talking about. If you care, if you're a progressive person who, is interested in fairness and equality, then you got to listen. You know what I mean? Don't just assume that, your black friend is just being sensitive and tripping, because we ain't being sensitive and we ain't tripping. There's a lower level of every single culture of people that act a damn fool.
Absolutely.
And some white folks, some of y'all act crazy as hell. And some Chinese people, some of them act crazy as hell. Mm-hmm. And some Latino people, some of them act crazy as hell. But it is not the dominant characteristic of any culture to act a damn fool. And I think the perception is that comes a lot of times from the movies and comes from the gratuitous use of the N-word and the music and all of that kind of stuff. And then that's just with us. That's stuff that we can control. And then when you see how we're portrayed in the media, I mean, it just really, really frustrates me. I don't mean to be on a soapbox about this, but this was a conversation that I literally have been having in social media all day, Diva.
I was getting ready to say exactly what you just said, that we're the ones in the news, we're the ones on the hip-hop videos acting crazy, we're the ones out there being portrayed in a certain way. And you mentioned Latinos, I'm sure they're doing just as much stuff, but I don't know any that have done anything because they're not really, spotlighted like that.
I mean, the truth of the matter is, I'm not going to make this out to be all black people are good and all white people are bad. That ain't what I'm saying. Because we know that we act a damn fool. We know that there are a lot of things that we can do to change our condition in this country and our perception. A lot of it has to do with us getting together and just stop backbiting and stop dissing each other and actually say hello to each other in the morning. You know what I mean? It starts with stuff like that. But, I just don't want to hear nobody tell me that I'm wrong for being mad. You know what I mean? And oftentimes you people who don't understand your perspective want to do that. Like ESPN had a documentary last night on the N-word, which I didn't get an opportunity to watch. I DVR'd it, and hopefully I'll see it later on this week. But I was on their blog, and I was just looking at some of the things that some of these people were saying, and thankfully I couldn't tell if they were white or black, but I can kind of assume by the kind of comments that were being made. But then I had to catch myself. Like, I don't want to assume, because I'm just as guilty as the person that I'm mad at by assuming that the negative comments are coming from the white folk and the positive ones are coming from the black folk.
All that way to some extent, so.
Yeah, of course we are. Ain't no how Steppin with Marcus J. We'll get some love to the folks that's listening to us on social media. We getting some love in the Atlanta area. Appreciate it. We getting some love in South Plainfield. In my home state of New Jersey, waiting for the lights to turn on. And out in the West Coast, we know we got some steady listeners in Chicago and Phoenix, so we'll wait for them to check in. Of course, we got the usual suspects hitting us up in MixLR. We see you, Joy. And what's up, bruh? I see you said out there as well, so appreciate it. Ain't no how Steppin with Marcus J. Stand your ground. Let's talk about stand your ground. I want the diva on this one first. We know there are cases of stand your ground, and we've seen George Zimmerman basically be acquitted, and we've seen Michael Dunn, who feels that he's a victim, by the way, which I saw an article about that, where he was talking trash in jail about all of these black people in there. So if somebody killed them, they would know to act right, or the surviving black people would know to act right. He said that before his trial, and they had a hung jury. I'm going to digress from that. I just wanted to get that out there. But you've got a former U.S. airman who's currently sitting in a Florida prison. 2 years into his 25-year sentence, he joins a list of cases that have drawn national attention due to Florida's sentencing and gun laws. Here's the story. 2010, in the spring, 26-year-old Michael Giles was on active duty from the U.S. Air Force and stationed in Tampa. He's a married father of 3 and had recently finished 2 tours in the Middle East. He was looking forward to a career in the military. One night in February, a friend invited Giles to a party at a Tallahassee nightclub. Shortly after arriving, a fight broke out among members of fraternities from nearby Florida A&M. According to court documents, an argument quickly escalated into a brawl involving 30 to 40 young men. Giles reportedly was not involved in the melee, but separated from his friends, he went outside to the car where he had a gun for which he had a concealed carry permit. He put the weapon in his pants pocket and searched the crowd for his friend. Suddenly, he says someone from the crowd punched him, knocked to the ground, and in fear for his life, Giles says he pulled out the gun and fired one shot into the leg of his alleged attacker. 3 men were injured, wounded by bullet fragments. Giles was immediately arrested and charged with second-degree attempted murder. Now, aside from having no criminal background, Giles' supporters argue that he was merely defending himself from an unprovoked attack. In fact, when testifying in the case, the man who punched Giles, Courtney Thrower, admitted that the assault was random. The first person I get to, I'm going to hit, he remembered thinking. Other witnesses testified that Thrower, having heard of an attack on one of his fraternity brothers, was outside the nightclub pacing with his fist clenched and in the middle of the brawl, leapfrogged from the crowd to hit Giles. Despite all of that, according to a Florida state prosecutor, Giles had no right to use deadly force. Quote, the evidence is clear here that the act of pointing a gun into a group of people, even if you're not specifically deciding to kill them, is a crime. Assistant State Attorney Jack Campbell in his closing statements during the trial. Continuing, quote, there is no self-defense that is applicable based on the evidence that's before the jury. I'll leave it there. I'm getting this from thegrio.com. SY, you're giving me the most physical reaction, so I'm going to come to you on this one first. When you hear this story, I don't know if you have in the past, but now that I've kind of laid it out, what is your thoughts on this?
Yes, I read that story. I believe it was last week. And I actually signed the petition his mom has out. But, you know, I really don't know what to say other than everything and anything that can be done to pull our people and lock them up is going to be done. They're going to try it. He's defending himself. And so I would have done the same thing.
Tony, what's your thoughts?
There was actually an interview done by CNN where they were talking with a legal analyst, Holly Hughes, and I forget this psychologist first. The last name was like Gardier or something like that, about the outcome of the Dunn trial. And this Holly Hughes, who's a legal analyst, and she is white, basically put it this way. Let's turn the tables. If black men were shooting white boys and trying to use the stand your ground law as a defense, that law would have been repealed immediately.
Yeah, I mean, that's essentially, and I love that analogy because that's essentially the conversation that we were having in social media today. And I won't call out anybody by name. If you're on my Facebook page, you can go to the blog and you can see the discussion. But essentially, you know, one of the brothers said that this stuff don't happen to white folk. Mm-hmm. You know, and you know, my white brother said, you know, that it, you know, he felt that it was disingenuous that the brother said that. And he took me to task for not correcting him. And my response to that was, well, the perspective that we have is different. And he pulled up a bunch of, you know, stories where, you know, black people have been acquitted for shooting unarmed white people. Which, you know, if those cases are out there, then so be it. They didn't make the national media. And his point was, you know, white versus black crime is a ratings draw. It's going to rile up white folk to defend the white guy, and it's going to rile up black folk to say, ooh, look at what the white man did to us. Those are my words, not his. But, you know, my entire, you know, response to that is when you see the perception, you know, let's not be disingenuous in assuming that if you're going to be a progressive person, which my friend, I know he is. I've known him for 25 years. You know, if you're going to be a progressive person, then you need to acknowledge the way their media is portrayed. You know, if you look at Duck Dynasty, those white people are portrayed a certain kind of way. You know, so let's not act like we don't see that. Carlton Banks, jump in here. What's your thoughts on this whole thing?
You want to see a situation with an open mind, but in the same standpoint, the evidence of this law speaks volumes when the tables do get turned. And it's a matter of time before it happens. And you really want to see what the media is going to play it as. You're going to wonder what social media is going to play it as. And then you want to see what the ethnic background groups are going to say about it. You know, there's gun control this, gun control that. Everybody has the right to bear an arm. Well, if everybody decided to walk in the street with a gun, you know, there'd be a lot more murders and killings and wouldn't even have to worry about this damn law anymore because half the people be dead and the other half be too scared to walk out the house because they're going to get shot. So it's a lot of things that are going to happen the very moment the reverse happens. And it's going to be the state of Florida, more than likely. I don't wish ill will on this dude, but I really think he's going to be the one it happens to, and I'm just going to sit back and wait and watch.
Who's the he you talking about?
I don't want to say his name.
All right, George Zimmerman. We know that he got a bounty on his head. I mean, cut the bullshit, man.
I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say he has a bounty on his head.
I'm telling you.
Okay, well, I'm
already
on
come
record
out
saying
in the news.
I'm not saying he's got a bounty.
Okay, because you don't want to keep it real, then that's fine that you don't. I'm telling you, the story already broke over the weekend. There's a $10,000 bounty on his head, and that's the reason why he got chased out of Miami. So what he won't say, I'll say. You know, I'll be like Key and Peele. I'll be your angry interpreter. If you don't want to say it, just let me know. I'll hold you down. Ain't no how to step on Marcus J. All right, we gonna take a turn from the angry black man stuff. That's for everybody that thinks that we the angry black man. We ain't. We just pissed. There's a difference between angry and being pissed and frustrated. We angry? No. Frustrated and pissed? Yes. But we gonna take a turn from that.